Hello, everybody. I'm Roadblock, and we are on the free-to-play account. Um, so I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about today, and I just kind of have to figure out how we're gonna get there. Um, Mostly just been getting dailies done on the account. We were waiting until the event starts for the fusion. I'm not really concerned about the Deck of Fate. Even this champion training event, I'm not that concerned with, if I'm honest. I'm going to go ahead and knock out leveling out a piece of gear real quick just to get it done. You know, I haven't leveled out any attack percent chests in a while. So what options do we have? Okay. Nothing too interesting. Do I have any that have substat crit rate, crit damage? Yeah, it's already leveled. Okay. So why don't we try an HP percent chest? I would probably want like speed, maybe some accuracy, no, some defense percent. Okay. Trying not to sneeze. Blah. Okay. Um. Oh, and a little crit rate. Yeah, I'll take this to 12. Nah, it's a 4-star. It is a 4-star. I tried to convince myself to do it. I just couldn't. Well, what about a defense? Whoops, nope. Defense. Speed, accuracy are already 12. This is kind of concerning because I have all this gear, but I don't really have anything that has good substats, and I need to do a more in-depth cleanse than what I did the other day. Anything with crit rate, crit damage substats? Okay. I take this to 12. Will that get me enough points? I like that accuracy roll. Take that. And yeah, that got me the 15. As long as you go to 12. Okay. I was about to say, so what do we want to talk about? But I don't want to quote. For those of you that watch wrestling, I don't want to quote Cody Rhodes. Uh, Not because I love Cody Rhodes. I don't want to steal from people. Okay. So let me start by saying that I'm streaming tomorrow. That's going to be Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And the reason I want to start with that is because it's kind of why I want to talk about what I want to talk about today. So I'm doing account takeovers for my clan. In my clan, I had set a stipulation that by February 1st, I needed everyone to be in Gold 1. So by January 1st, everyone had to be Silver. Most everybody hit that. By February, I wanted everybody to be in Gold. I felt like that was a reasonable amount of time, especially when you consider that my free-to-play account has been in Gold for quite some time now. And even my free-to-play challenge account that only has, well, 260s now, or 2 6-stars now, I should say, is in high silver and actively pushing to get to gold. So a lot of them in so my rule was I extended the time. I said, okay, we'll go until like mid-February, but you need to be actively trying to improve. And that was my goal. This was a message I sent to my clan. It sounds cheesy, but I make a state of the clan video every month for my clan and say, this is what's going on. These are our target areas. This is what's going well. This is where we're struggling, all that stuff, right? I'm mentioning all of this to say that I reached out today in Discord and was like, hey, how can we help? Or how can I help? What do you need? And so I decided to do account takeovers for them. But it's beneficial to me to also make content out of that. So I was like, we'll do it live. Because, as I always say, you don't know what you don't know. And the lessons that I teach them could also be lessons for you guys. But I also kind of want to preempt that and say that this is kind of my prediction about where people are falling short. Um, if we look at my arena team, let me refresh and get some different battles here. My arena team isn't anything special. I've got one legendary, two epics, and a rare. And I'm sitting solidly in gold 2, right? I've been gold 3 before. I'm just not there right now because I'm being a little more lackadaisical with my tokens. Well, the big question then becomes, how do you get there? The number one, and I'm going to use the word excuse, but I don't mean it in a bad way. I suppose reason could be a better word. The number one reason that people give me when I say, hey, why aren't you in Gold Arena yet, is my gear sucks. I understand why people think that, but a lot of the time it's less that your gear sucks and more so that it's probably slightly mismanaged. I've gone in depth on I've gone in depth on I apologize. That was a very important message. I've gone in depth in other videos that have probably been buried in my backlog because I make so much content now of arena and how to get better and guides and things like that. But it's always good to readdress these things, right? So I've given in a recent takeover for another clan member who succeeded in hitting gold, I made a default rule for them. Speed boots only. That would be my first advice to anybody struggling in arena. Take all 4 of your arena champions and put them in speed boots. But then you also need to tune them, okay? So let's say that we look at my arena team here, right? So we'll go to arena, go to a battle, we'll do this. Let's say that my Kale was super fast. Well, if his speed is going to be so much greater, stats have to get sacrificed for that, right? You only have a finite amount of stats. In a perfect world, you're going to have 6 pieces of legendary gear or higher, which would give you 4 substat rolls for each piece of gear. And those rolls can only go into to 4 options, right? So let's say that you had perfect pieces of gear. You had crit rate, crit damage, speed, and attack percent on as a substat for everything that can be a substat for, because obviously that doesn't apply to a shield, right? And all of your and let's say it's savage gear, right? All of those substat rolls go into speed. You have the fastest Kale on. You've got quad rolls on speed on every single item in Savage Gear. Your Kale is the fastest Kale known, or your Sun Wukong even is the fastest Sun Wukong in the entire game across the world. But he hits very weak because you didn't get those rolls in attack percent. You sacrificed your attack, you sacrificed your crit damage, but you have a very fast champion. So sometimes it's utilization, it's optimization, right? And your brain may be saying, well, but I have to have my PvP nuker in a Savage set. That's the only way. It's not the only way. And this account is proof of that. I don't have any single one of my PvP nukers in a Savage set. I don't even think I have anyone in a Cruel set, even. The only defense ignoring mechanics that I get are from the base ignoring of 50% that Sun Wukong gets, because that's who he is. Now, some of you may be very new accounts and don't have Sun Wukong, but most of you do. That is one of the great advantages of him so early on, is that he already has that built-in defense, which is even less of a reason to use bad gear, but it's good stats, right? The other thing is flat stat gear. I preach this a lot, but having flat stats in the main stat for the bottom three pieces, I think I talked about this last episode as well, is a pretty big waste. The other thing is trying to make good gear work without the subsequent pieces. What do I mean by that? Well, I have crit damage gauntlets on my Sun Wukong. We look at my Sun Wukong stats, he still maintains 101% crit rate. Some of you are likely saying, well, I want as much crit damage out of my Sun Wukong as I can get. And you do. So you put crit damage gloves on him, but you don't have the gear to make up the remaining amount of crit rate for him to succeed in getting a critical hit. So he's at 65% crit rate or 50% crit rate. That's going to hurt your bottom line for the damage that you do. So in reality, you want to be focusing on crit rate gloves at that point. It's a matter of understanding what you're capable of. If you are capable of crit damage gloves and still achieving 100% crit rate, go for it. If not, they need to be in crit rate gloves. Some of you may say, well, but crit rate gloves, I don't gain enough attack. I want attack percent. I need to raise his attack percent or something. Crits do a lot more damage than just having a higher attack rate. Especially for your nukers. You want 100% crit rate. That is your focus point number one. Beyond that, then becomes your crit damage and your attack percent and speed. When we're talking about speed, a common early mistake that even I made was just trying to make my champions as fast as possible. It's not about necessarily being as fast as possible. You do want to be fast enough to go before the enemy team. Like, I will agree that that is an important aspect of it. But you also want to make sure you're doing things in the right order. So let's go back to the scenario that I had of the fastest Kale, right? You have the fastest Kale. He goes before the enemy team. He goes twice before the enemy team, but he's weak. Okay, well, how do we make him stronger? We build it. Obviously, we change the gear on him, right? But the other problem, let's say that he's not the fastest Kale in the world. Let's say that he's just the fastest character on your account. That's reasonable. He's one speed faster than your fastest champion. And therefore, all that damage loss is now made up. He has more attack percent. He's fully crit capped. He's got a decent amount of crit damage. He's going to hit hard. I keep using Kale because, or we'll just say your starter champion, because everyone's going to use their starter champion. And it's usually your first 6-star. I recommend it being your first 6-star for a dozen reasons. That's in another video. So, Kale goes first. Then your decreased defense champion. Then your increased attack champion go. Those buffs didn't benefit, right? And so you may read, and this is all with all due respect, you may read a website or watch a YouTube video that says, this champion's great for PvP, they bring AoE decreased defense. This champion's great for PvP, they bring AoE increase attack and speed boost and all of these things, but it doesn't mean anything if your nuker goes before them. So it's really important that you get the synergy of it all correct. I'm going to fight a team that I know I'm faster than, or I should be faster than. Here, I'm going to take it off of auto just so I could set it onto kind of the 1x here. So we won the speed battle, right? I'm going to set to 1x and put it back on auto. So you'll see Deacon goes first. Decrease their defense. Increase our attack. Sun Wukong gets his hit. Kale finishes them off. Right? So that's my turn order. Deacon into Ursula, into Sun Wukong, into Kale. Now, it doesn't matter necessarily between Sun Wukong and Kale which one of them go first. I just have Sun Wukong going first because that's the gear. The way the gear presented itself made him be the faster champion. But it doesn't necessarily matter when I'm using a two nuker combo. If your Kale went first and your Sun Wukong or whatever legendary nuker or epic nuker for that matter that you have, that's okay. The important part is that you're decreasing the defense of the enemy team and increasing your attack. A common shortfall is not understanding that kind of basic concept. Lower their defenses and increase your damage. That is a big, big part of it. And I'm sure you're saying, well, I don't have an Ursula. You can farm a champion who does increase attack. So right here, this champion right here is called Spirit Host. She brings the big version of increased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. She also happens to bring speed in all battles. If you don't have a Deacon, she's a decent speed lead. Speed aura lead, right? The rest of her kit doesn't matter. For the longest time, if you go back and look at my early episodes, this Spirit Host, who is only level 40 and never leveled up beyond that, is in all this speed gear. Look, a 4-star piece, right? One of the relics of my account now, right? Flat stat gloves, right? Whoa, what are you doing? You can't use flat stats roadblock. You told me that 1,000 times. Don't use flat stats. Early game, and it had a speed roll on a champion who I don't care if they live or die. Yeah, I'll use a flat stat piece in that scenario. So then why do I make it a blanket rule and say no flat stats, no flat stats, no flat stats? Because I don't want to be too confusing. You know, that if you understand what you're doing and you're only using it to get as much speed as you can, then fine. Why did I need so much speed? I wanted her to go first. Now, her stats are off. She's only 169 speed. She's missing a chest that would have given her additional speed boosts. But the concept remains that I wanted her to go first before anybody else because I needed her to give my team increase attack. Well, then I got Ursula, who replaced her. She stayed at 40. I've stripped some gear off of her. Look, we used gray common boots, but they had a speed roll. If you didn't watch a lot of my early episodes, the only reason that this is a 13 item level is because I only leveled it as high as I needed to get the speed requirement to be the fastest champion on the team. Okay? That is a farmable champion. You can do campaign a whole bunch of times on that difficulty or on that stage is the word I'm looking for. And you will eventually get a Spirit Host. You can farm them. So that's a great option. Likewise, if you need decreased defense, I won't go through the whole spiel again, but you can do the same thing in the Deadlands for a War Maiden. She would do the same thing. Again, build her with speed. This time you would also need accuracy. Build her with speed and accuracy. Even with crappy gear, you know, it could have flat defense, flat attack, or flat HP. But as long as it has speed and accuracy, put it on her, get her to go before your nuker, and now you're doing damage. So these are really common oversights where people make they put all of their best gear on their nuker and they make their nuker super fast and then they put a team of four together and they go nowhere. So case in point, in fact, let's analyze the team that I just beat, right? Harima is one of the best PvP champions in the game. You have Ultimate Death Knight in here, right? Like this was four legendaries. Three of them are defense champions. I don't know if Snick Track is defense or not. Nope. Yep. HP based. And if I'm, yeah, their aura that they're using, right, is an HP aura. You have a top tier defense aura with three defense based champions, and you're using an HP aura, right? And I don't know who you are, dude. I'm not trying to call you out if you ever see this, but this is that kind of concept where you're just kind of throwing things at a problem and not really thinking it through, right? You want to make sure that you're organized. Like I should lose to this, and I don't know if Zargala brings I don't know who brings decreased defense on their team. So they're gonna go first because they have a speed lead that's greater than mine. Okay, so I would like to point out whether we win or lose. They had four legendaries, right? I had one legendary, two epics, and a rare. Did you see how long that Ursula lived in that battle? Right? This man has a Trunda. And that Trunda was not able to kill my Ursula. And then I'll rewind and talk about this team here. I killed everyone in one shot except for Harima, I think it was. Right? So this is kind of what I'm talking about. This dude right here, I mean, you could probably take out the Mashaled and put in a War Maiden and put decreased defense on my team, which you're going to go first. You have the best speed, one of the best speed lead auras in the game, right? Or even maybe Zargala. I didn't see what Zargala did in that fight, right? And then bring someone that brings increased attack. They may have already done that. I didn't see if they had. I don't know enough about Zargala and Mashaled, right? But that team, a Trunda that goes first, shouldn't have that much trouble killing my Ursula. Ursula should not, and had Ursula had a little bit more turn meter and revived my whole team, we still could have probably won that fight. Unfortunately, the only person that had to go was my Sun Wukong, because of his, obviously he died. Obviously the other two died. But if you can't kill the reviver, you're going to be in for some trouble, right? So these are common mistakes that people tend to make and overlook. Yeah, this team right here, I bet you I think this team should smoke me. Let's see what happens. Let me put it back on ×1 here. Decreased defense. Oh, I get a turn. Okay, we'll go auto. Oh, they might be too slow. They are. So, that's the situation. Good speed or a lead. Their Stag Knight is fast enough. He went first. The gap between the Stag Knight and the rest of this team is too great. Ideally, that Stag Knight goes first, decreases the defense and the attack of my team. By the way, I killed them while under decreased attack, right? That's how well built my guys are, but um, it sounded gloaty. I didn't mean it in that way. So they decreased the defense of my team and the attack of my team, but their Kaimar is too slow, right? You want your Kaimar to go right at, if you have this Stagnite that fast with that much accuracy that he can do what he did and get those debuffs off, you need the Kaimar to come in right behind him with the sleep. Put my team asleep, take my turn away, and then let Rathalos do his thing. I don't know what Umbral does. All due respect, as far as I understand it, that's a good champion, but I don't know what they do off the top of my head. We've already done enough moving around, and this video is starting to get long. So, that's where speeds do make a difference. I'll point out, so my fastest champion, because of the concept, is Deacon Armstrong. If we look at his speed, he's at 216 speed. To put things in perspective, my gold 5 Arbiter, like I'm in gold 5 with an Arbiter on my team, on my main account, is like 290 speed, and she's too slow. So I'm not saying he's crazy fast, but he's fast enough for gold 3. You just saw it. He outsped that team that had a better speed or a lead than what my Deacon can bring. So he's built fast enough. But then what is Ursula's speed? 196, right? So 216, 196. And then everyone else is built with a decent enough speed around that. Now, remember, in my particular case, I do have a increase of my speed, of not of my speed, but of my turn meter, and a decrease of the enemy turn meter. That is important to understand. I get a big swing out of a Deacon Armstrong with this team. So that could be why my guys went first. Either way, that Kaimar needs to be faster, right? I would get, if you don't have another champion who's giving you those speed benefits, you need to get that speed outright. You need those champions to just outright be faster. So this isn't crazy speed. And what's the base speed for a Kaimar? 103. And I think my Deacon was 100, I think was the base speed for Deacon. Yeah. So Kaimar's already got faster base speed working with. So a little bit more speed focus on that champion, and they win that fight. Because I assume that their Rathalos can hit hard. So I haven't tried Rathalos versus, like, instead of Kale in my PvP team yet. Ow. Okay. Sorry, my head hurt for a little bit there. Anyways, I hope those tips help. I really do. It's been a while since I've kind of given, and this honestly probably should have been a separate video from an update about the free-to-play account, but the whole point of the free-to-play account is to teach you guys how to work within the constraints of a free-to-play system. This is a fully free-to-play account. I always have to add the one caveat that we got blessed very, very early getting this Killstroke gear from an event that happened that was really, really good, and it hasn't really happened since. So, a grain of salt regarding some of the gear that I have that we got pretty big advantage on. But gear really only matters, and I'm talking like high tier gear, really only matters on your nuker. The rest of them can just be fast. Like Deacon, before he got, I mean, look, I mean, he's still rocking a 4-star blue shield. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's got a double speed roll. That's all I care about. I need him fast. Yeah, it's got HP too. That's great. I get a little more survivability out of him on Clan Boss, but I just want him fast. And, um, look at this is not a good piece, right? Uh, It's defense on the main stat percentage. Great, great. Flat stat defense, right? Accuracy, speed. Okay, it's a better piece than I originally. I saw 3 flat stats and kind of tunnel visioned because you do get accuracy and speed. The crit damage here didn't really matter. Um, yeah, this piece is not that great. We get accuracy on it, but the resistance we don't care about. Flat HP we don't really care about, and we certainly don't really care about the attack percent on it either because I'm not doing damage with my Deacon Armstrong. But it completes the set in this particular case, giving me that 5% speed and gives me the more accuracy and gives me HP percent, which I do want for other content, right? But if you're building champions just for PvP, that's fine. And I would actually recommend that in some cases. I have lost, even, with the team that I have, which is a pretty strong team, I have lost to rares before in this difficulty. I've seen someone where I'm like, oh, I'm curious about how well I'll do against this team. I'm just pure curiosity. Yeah, they're all horribly built. And they're all 50. But that's a funny defense team. I give them a lot of props for putting that team together. I was looking for a team that might have a rare or some other kind of mechanics here. This is a pretty tanky team they're using. Wait, I think I've lost to this team before. Because I think they're Geo... Okay, no, I didn't. This isn't the team I thought. I've lost to a super fast Geomancer before who put HP burn on one of my characters, and then I killed myself on their Death Knight. Because their Geomancer was so fast that they put... I don't. It's not a strategy I recommend. I'm just saying that I lost to it. So, all right. Well, I hope that kind of helps anybody that's struggling. As far as the account, we're pretty much hard saving for the fusion. We do have in-game, look at the fusion here. I mean, not much beyond this, right? Because there's a video on her, but I do like that. I mean, it's a legendary, and the kit isn't bad. The main thing depends on if I have to do a summon rush or not. I don't regret my decision to pull shards. That's part of the fun of the game. But I don't have enough regular shards to complete a summon rush. The next champion chase, I think, is likely to be Void Shards. I may have to do one or the other. Hopefully I don't have to do either of them. And maybe I'll be lucky enough to win a tournament or something like that. But truth be told, I don't think this fusion is worth it per se. Or fragment summon is worth it per se, but depending on the requirements, of course, I'll keep putting that caveat there. I do want to prove to you guys that a free-to-play account can complete a fragment summon. Like, that's the important part for me, is to show you guys that free-to-play is not the nerf that you think it is. And another caveat to all of this, a big, fat, stinky asterisk on this account beyond the gear that I got from a very good event is I have pulled some monsters. Geomancer is a monster. Venomage is a monster. Ursula is a monster. Allure is a monster, right? We even Seer is a monster. Like these are dominant champions. Ugo is a dominant champion. Um, and when you consider all of these factors, hell, even just I recently pulled Melga. That is a great pull for a free to play account. Bellower is a great pull for a free to play account. Like I have pulled some really, really good champions this rotation through. Heck, even Cornelia has her uses. So it is important to understand that I have had some really good pulls over the length of the account. So, I don't want to sit here and say like anybody can do it, right? Because if you look at my free to play challenge account, that's not really the story. I don't have a whole bunch of champions that I pulled on, or good champions that I pulled on the free to play account, and I've been pulling shards nonstop. And I haven't really like cracked into a dominant epic like we have on this account. We pulled some of the most dominant epics in the game on this account. So important to understand that when you're talking about the strength of this account versus your account, those are all factors that matter. But honestly, a lot of what I see when I do account takeovers is the distribution of gear and the kind of how do you get the focus, are is your turn order appropriate? Is your nuker 100% crit rate? I mean, that's right out the gate. I did an account takeover for a clan member, and I was like, you have a really strong Rhonda with, I think they had a 5-star blessing or something like that. I was like, you should be winning these fights easily. And then I go and I look and I was like, oh, you're not crit capped. Oh, you have flat stat boots on. Like, no, we need to fix this, right? So those are the big issues that I see a lot. And so hopefully we won't see any of that in the upcoming takeovers, but whatever I do see, I'll point out, and hopefully we can fix it, right? Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to make this a quick ending here. I hope that wasn't too much of a disconnect from what we normally talk about on this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments if you liked kind of having a more focused area. I'm just trying to get like filler stuff before we start going for the fragment summon coming up, and I can be like, boom, 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 look at this, look at this, look at this, right? This is this is how I achieved this part. This is how I did that part. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.